Hello, Bryan, Cassady.
Hey.
So we are in the room about 15 persons. So we are ready to hear your presentation, and you can share. And
Let's see how this goes. Hey, everybody, glad to see you here. I have a favor to ask you, and that is if you're willing to turn on your videos, because it's really horrible to talk to through just a blank screen.
okay, so you're sharing. Okay, now we. So
Yeah.
I will move the camera to our audience, that you see it.
Hey, there's human beings there. That's cool. Nice to see all of you. And I see one video's come on. Boris, put your video back on. I know you got your video there, and we'll go forward from here. So, I'm the last speaker of the day, which is sometimes an enviable position, sometimes a horrible position, because you're tired, you've gone through lots of things, but I'll try to keep it interesting, and I will try to open it up for questions as much as I can. If you want, there's a QR code there. If you scan it, you get a copy of the presentation and a bunch of other goodies. It'll come up a few more times during the talk. So if you decide, well, actually, I do want to know what this guy's talking about, you can get a copy. So my name is Bryan Cassady. I'm not going to do much of an introduction, but I'm going to talk to you today about something near and dear to my heart, which is about the use of AI. And this talk is about AI and Triz, but I've got some really bad news for you. Currently, 9 out of 10 people are not getting real results from AI. And based on my experience, and I know some of you are going to disagree with this, few people are getting real results from Triz. And the issue, in my opinion, it is not the tools. The tools, the methods are really powerful. The reason for this is the way those tools are being used. And I have a question for you. Right now, do you see your visuals on top of the slides, or is you, because normally I shouldn't see this over on the side. So, I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna start with a story. I'm gonna tell you about how I started using AI for Triz. And it's actually was kind of a tough start because I was on a flight to Spain. Tomorrow morning, the next morning, I was supposed to lead an 8-hour creativity workshop with 25 different engineers. Halfway there, my phone buzzes with a new message. Hey, Bryan, the schedule's changed. You got 2 hours instead of 8. I said, oh my God, 2 hours, 25 engineers. Engineers are hard enough to get them to be creative. And I had an agenda that was designed for a full day. My first reaction was just to freeze. And then my second reaction is, well, you know what? I got to figure this out, but it is a mess. So during the flight, I made a decision that felt crazy at the time. Let's do the entire session with AI. And that one choice changed completely how I think about creativity. First, a little bit of context. I wasn't one of the first advocates of creativity with AI. When I tried AI in real business issues, I was consistently underwhelmed. The result was long, generic answers with very little soul, not inspiring creativity. Over time, I've learned how to do it different, but that was the starting point. But as they say, sometimes necessity is the mother of invention. I was working with engineers on engineering challenges. It's a hard group for me because I'm not an engineer. And I like to think in terms of how might we? How might we do 8 hours in 2 hours? And this is really important. How do we go from generic to useful solutions for engineering people? And I decided, let's give Triz a shot. I've worked with Triz for years, and Triz is, in my opinion, absolutely great for engineering challenges. But it's always been hard to get my clients to fall in love. It's hard to understand, it's complicated to use, and it's often too slow to get results. For me, success with my clients is something I can explain in less than 10 minutes with real results in an hour and something they can use later. Now, there's a book out there called Trizics. I pulled up a PDF on the flight. They present a step-by-step methodology on how to use Triz. But I challenge you to present this in less than 5 minutes and then get people going in another 5. Triz is amazingly powerful. It's comprehensive, but it's messy and it's confusing for beginners. So what I decided to do is to do something different. I said I'm not going to do an explanation of Triz beyond a really cover level explanation. I'm just going to get started, show it works, then let them express interest. And I know for some of the purists here, this might sound like a horrible tragedy and a sacrilege, but trust me, it's the best thing. So instead of a long explanation of Triz, I did a short 1-minute presentation. I said, Triz is a powerful ideation method. Triz has been shown to work for 97% of challenges because most of the things that we've identified today are built on ideas that have happened before. And Triz works like this. We start with a challenge. We have a factual problem. Let's see if this works. No, my pen is not working. We go to a challenge, to a conceptual problem, to a conceptual solution, and over to a specific solution. And usually the final solutions are creative because you're using external stimuli. And usually they work because they're based on something that's been done before. And how are we going to do it? We are going to use AI to help us. And we're going to use a prompt, something like this. We have the following challenges. Use the Triz inventive principles to help me find a solution. And that's what we're going to do today. Now, the first reaction there is, okay, what is Triz? Oh my God, how are we going to do this? We don't have this. And I go on to explain to them why this is going to work is because AI has already been trained on a lot of the types of problems that humankind has encountered in the past. AI is great at finding ideas that have worked elsewhere. And that's essentially the bottom line of Triz. And I explain the good news is they can use something state-of-the-art in a few minutes without following a 1-week training. I then tell them about the 40 inventive principles. Those principles provide solutions 90% of the time for the 97% of solutions that have been solved with past data. Now, a typical workshop for me is actually a lot of stuff. We do a kickoff, we agree on objectives, we look at our problem. If I was doing this with Triz, I would try to formulate the things as a Triz problem. We would work on general solutions, we'd vote on things, and then we'd do a presentation. The problem is you can't do that in 2 hours. So to go for a 2-hour presentation, what we do is actually, I did a lot of work on the plane and at breakfast at the hotel and prepared 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we started at number 5. So what happened? In those 2 hours, we ran exercises should have taken a whole day. We used AI to generate hundreds of ideas a minute. We built, we tested, we pitched, and here's the punchline. The engineers didn't want to stop. They said, wow, this is cool. We're creative. This is amazing. And what looked like a disaster turned into one of the most productive workshops I've run. This, more than anything else, convinced me to look more into this thing called AI. Now, I'm going to suggest that the next time there's a download link that comes up, you snap the QR code, because there's a couple of statistics here if you're a Triz person, which are going to be really interesting to you. So after I got back, I decided to run some research on AI for creativity. I call this mechanical creativity. And the idea is, can you use AI to be creative? Can you generate thousands of ideas with a few clicks? The answer is, of course you can. Before doing this, I read a few articles, actually a lot of articles, several books, and I'd like to share 2 of them that I think are the best. The first one is a series of studies about AI versus humans in terms of developing ideas. What I have here is a chart of a Cornell study in 2023. I've chosen that because I studied at Cornell. And they have 2 basic conclusions. The first conclusion is if you look at innovation, innovation is built on 2 parts. One, which is value. If we look at AI versus humans, what you'll see is AI is outperforming humans in most cases in terms of developing solutions of value. And in terms of novelty, AI outperforms most of the humans. but there's still some humans that outperform. Another study that I looked at before running this research was done by the Harvard Business School with Boston Consulting Group. They ran a study with 758 consultants, and they divided them into two groups, the top 50% and the bottom 50%, and they looked at how AI impacted their creativity. Now, you have to remember, the bottom 50% of Boston Consulting Group is probably the top 10% of most places in the world. But what they saw in this is that AI was an amazing thing in terms of boosting creativity. If we look within the top skilled participants, they improved creativity by 17%. And if you looked in the bottom half, they increased productivity by 43%. Those things are important, but the more important thing here is actually after AI, the bottom and the top were basically the same in terms of results. They also did a second part of this study, which I think is really clever. They also looked at what AI cannot do. And they purposely gave these consultants a challenge outside the skill set of AI, which they call in the article the jagged edge. Then they compared the group that had AI with the group that didn't have AI. The group that didn't have AI got the challenge wrong 15% of the time. The group that had AI got it wrong 40% of the time. So what's happening here is some of the brightest and the best people in the world using AI get things wrong a lot often because they tend to offload things on an AI. This led us to a perspective on the use of AI and use of smart AI. So effectively, in terms of AI humans, there's reasons to say either one is better. Humans plus AI, it's better at generating ideas, but it also generates more failures and critical tasks. And what we've been looking at is what I call humans plus AI plus, where we use predefined tools, knowledge on how to use the tools, knowledge on the limitations of the tools, and knowledge on interaction. And we said, look, how do we put this together? How do we work with AI for creativity? And the thing that I can tell you is there's no secret prompt that unlocks AI's potentials. AI is not about AI magic, but it's about guiding AI with expertise and working interactively. What we decided to do was some research on idea building with AI. In my opinion, this is the easiest part of the innovation process. Building ideas is really simple. Making ideas happen is the hard part. But the question for me and for most of my clients is that's where they want to focus. So we decided to focus on creativity challenges, but also non-standard creativity challenges. In the academic literature, you'll find things like how many different ways can you use a brick? But we want to focus on wicked challenges, which are hard to find, hard to solve. Because in business, we have wicked challenges. So what we did is we took our research, ran our research, borrowing a challenge you already used in some working papers by academics at Wharton and Cornell. Their wicked challenge was ideas for physical products less than $50 targeted to university students. We chose this problem because they already did the work, validating the challenge, and we had ways to measure the results. So what did we test? We tested students alone. We tested students given AI. We had students given AI and a clear target. And we had students given AI, clear target, and some smart, interesting things. So here's the full test. The first thing we had was human beings working alone and human beings just given AI. That's the baseline. Then we said, look, you know what? One of the problems in group work is oftentimes a lack of a clear challenge. So what we decided to do was to define the challenge more clearly using a tool that we call the True North tool. And True North is essentially a story plus objectives and things that you don't want. It's a fantastic way if you want to get an innovation project to work because it gets everybody on the same page. And if you want to see this, check out one of my books and you'll get an idea on how to do this. So we had a group with clear targets and AI. So basically they got to use ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. I'm curious what would happen if we did this now with 4 and 5, but I think the results would be pretty similar. And basically, the request here was just give me some ideas. And now we're finally onto something Triz related, a little bit more. Our smart AI was a series of prompts which are written up to use different methods of idea building that work with human beings. We set a context, think like an innovation expert, and action, which is please generate 80 ideas based on the Triz inventive principles for our challenge. And we explain the challenge. And we explain how to do it, 2 for each of the 40 inventive principles. And we explain what we want as a result if we don't want duplicate ideas. And we did this for lots of different ways. We did it for alternative use, which is an ideation method. Imagine your Apple or Einstein generating ideas. We did it for different leading creative tools like Scamper, Stitch, Thinking Apps. My personal favorite when I work with groups is creative combination, which is we take related and unrelated stimulus and put them together, and people try to create an idea. And we had Triz. So we have all this stuff coming together, and we used, for this research, we created a toolkit which allows us to run different ideation methods in bulk. This is up online. If you use the QR code at the end, you could get a free access to it. It's still in some testing period, but basically it works as the following. You select a method, in this case it's Triz. You fill in something about your innovation target, which is the true north we talked about before, and you push a button. And what'll pop out is lots and lots of ideas. And I see my screen isn't running like it's supposed to. There's supposed to be a video going really fast with ideas coming up. Just trust me, there's lots of ideas that come out. What we generated in total here was 5,402 ideas. We had some from students, we had some students using AI, students using AI in a clear target, and most of them were in our last group here. Now, we can look at the results in different ways. Let's see if my pen works this time. Nope, it doesn't. So what we have here is we have a score on the quality of an idea. The quality of an idea is measured by 2 things, which is the meaningfulness of the idea and the novelty of the idea. A perfect score would be a 10. What we found, if you're an academic, is really cool. We found there was a statistically significant difference. The more we used AI, the better the ideas became. Even though it is statistically significant, and the reason why it's statistically significant is we have 5,000 ideas, it is practically insignificant. For the most part, the average quality of the ideas generated by humans, humans plus AI, humans plus smart AI, all the same. So you might say, okay, what's the advantage of this? The second thing that you want as far as an idea is you want to have ideas which are different. And there's a way that you can measure the difference of ideas by something called cosine similarity. Cosine similarity can take an idea, it can take a statement, it can take anything that you want to do and compare how similar things are. If I look here, I have a comment, which is this is a very happy person, and this is a happy person. Those 2 things are quite similar. So they would have a high cosine similarity. If I look down here, today is a sunny day, you might be happy because it's a sunny day, but it's further away. Now, what comes out here is we're going to see something important, and that human beings working alone are better able to come up with diverse ideas. There's more novelty, there's more difference between those ideas. What you'll see of the AI methods, the best one here is, by the way, is Triz. But for the most part, humans are outperforming AI plus humans in terms of creating diverse ideas. They're about the same in terms of the quality, but they're more diverse. I said, well, shoot, okay, I've just wasted a bunch of time. But you can do something different. And that is, does anybody really want 5,000 ideas? Probably not. What you want is a few great ideas. So what we did is we took all the idea building methods and we divided them up. We looked at the top 5%. So actually what we did So we said, how many ideas are above the 95th percentile? How many ideas are great ideas? So it's no mystery that AI is able to create more ideas, but the more important question is, does it create more good ideas? And here you can see something, and if you want to take a screenshot and talk to somebody about why you should use Triz to generate ideas, you should take a picture of this chart. So what we have here, human beings working by themselves generated about one good idea per 100. When they got AI, they got about 30% better, and they went to 1.44. When they got a clear target, they got better still. But this is, for me, this is the amazing thing, is when we're looking here and using smart, intelligent ways to generate ideas like we do with human beings, the numbers became hugely different. This is not the number of ideas, but this is the on-base percentage. This is the number of great ideas per 100. So not only do you get a lot more ideas, but you get a lot better ideas. Now, I don't know how I can ask questions right now because I'm having a challenge seeing my screen. So I'll just keep on going and we'll get to the questions at the end. If you want a copy of this talk, use this QR code, you get a copy of it. You're going to get a whole bunch of different prompts and things like that. And now I'm going to show you something cool. I said, okay, we've done this thing. How does it work in reality? Because, you know, in life, some challenges are more complex than generating products for students at universities. So with Richard from the US, we decided to do a retrospective test on Triz on a historical challenge innovation. Well, it was the Hoover Dam project. Now, before we start with this, I'd like to give you a little bit of theory. I think all of you know the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is basically from 20% of the effort, you get 80% of the results. Now, this is one of the things you might not know is the 20-80 is scalable. So it starts out, a typical Triz training will take you 5 days, which means you get 100% of the result. But if you do a 1-day training, you'll get 80% of the result. Now imagine you keep on going with this. And we say, look, we're going to take our 20% times 20%. So we have 4% or 0.2 days generating 64% of the results. We keep on going down and actually we get to a 4-minute solution generating about 40% of what you might get with AI. And what does this 4-minute solution look like? You say, step 1, define your challenge. Step 2, write a true north. Step 3, ask for ideas based on the inventive principles. That's 4 minutes using Triz, and it works pretty damn well. And in fact, that was the winner of our idea building test. So in the case study here, you're going to see you probably want to spend more than 4 minutes using Triz plus AI. You can use Triz to help define your challenge, to check your solution, and benchmark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a challenge, and I'm going to tell you how we did this, but I also want you to think about how you might be applying this in your life. So I'd like you to go back to 1930. Imagine you have a big challenge. There's a huge engineering challenge, one of the biggest engineering challenges of all time. And the Hoover Dam needs to be completed by 1935. To do this, they have to divert the Colorado River, and they need to build 4 divergent tunnels, and they need to be done in 2 years. The reason they need to do this is they need to empty out the river so they can put a dam in the middle. Right now, it's going to take them 4 years to do it. They have to find a solution to do it in 2. And let me see. Hold on, I got to do something. I hope the computer sound works. Can you tell me if the computer sound doesn't work? I'm going to show you a short video.
Crow sent miners down the river to start the first and most dangerous phase of construction, the 4 diversion tunnels, 2 on each side of the river.
Can you raise your thumbs if you can see if you can hear the sound?
Work crews would have to drill
Yes, we hear.
3/4 of the
It's
mile
okay.
through the
It's
canyon
okay.
walls. open the holes that would carry the river around the work site.
It's never scalar, maximal.
56 feet in diameter, they would then be lined with 3 feet of concrete.
Those diversion tunnels were unique. To get them lined up, the job of drilling and shooting with dynamite, you know, removing the rock, it was logistically one of the toughest things they did in the dam.
6 companies also had to contend with a rigid government deadline. 2.5 years to divert the river or face steep fines for every day they ran late. The volatile Colorado constantly threatened the job. In a flash, seasonal floods could wash away any plans for finishing on time.
Okay, so what we've got is we said Triz is fantastic, won our idea building contest, and we got a few great prompts. It should work. The only problem is it didn't. So what we did is we started with a clear objective. We asked for ideas from Triz. We had our toolkit, and we had a series of prompts to run. The starting point is, I'll call it the Nike solution. Let's just do it. We had a fast description. We tried using Triz. We got lots of good solutions, but none of them were on target. This is without a doubt the most common error people make with AI, is they start asking questions before they define the question. And frankly, we made it ourselves. Now, what we're looking at here is also to do this test, we had to actually trick the AI a little bit and to say, look, they couldn't use data after 1930, but we did get something which was pretty good at defining a way to limit its access to data. The second stage we went through, he said, okay, fine, let's try it again. We're going to have better targets. So we had a clear target. We had a true north, like we were talking around before. Essentially, what we got is we danced around the solution. We said, you know what? We need a more iterative process. So essentially, what we had is Triz in bulk, which went through 13 prompts, generated lots of ideas. And we said, you know what? How could we make this more interactive? And actually, we set in a series of iterative challenges, sub-problem analysis, scenario-based thinking, combining the Triz methods, chain of thought, all that kind of stuff to make the whole process a little bit more interactive. So what do we have is we had better targets, we had interactive AI, but we got a higher hit rate, but we're still not there. We said, look, you know what? We need to add a little bit of expertise to this. And we had function and ideality analysis from Triz. And then we got to what I will call bingo. And you know what? It's really amazing, the stuff that came out. Now, what I'd like to do is tell you what worked and see what you guys think about how we did this. So how did we do this? In the end, the final result is we did the following things step by step. Step number 1, we created a true north. Step number 2, we did a whole bunch of analysis work, functional and ideality analysis, defining really clearly what we're looking at as far as objectives. We updated our true north based on that information so that our true north, our challenge, was much more specific. And then we use the prompts that are following here to go through things step by step. So essentially what you have is we ended up with 13 steps. One of the things we didn't do is we didn't do this with humans very much because we didn't have much time, but we ended up with something that if we wanted to, we would probably put in external review sessions and a little bit of human expertise. Now, if you want, you can download all the stuff here. This QR code is the wrong one. You have to take the other one, which will come up in a little bit of time. But basically what you'll get is you'll get the prompts, you'll get the different things that you have, all the different stuff fits together, you can give it a shot. So let me explain to you what we did. Step number 1, we defined our challenge. We use our true north to define a challenge to get things set up. Step number 2, we did functional and ideality analysis. And here, this is too complex to go through in detail. But basically, we said, What is the problem? We try to understand the problem, where we focus, and where are the individual opportunities that we can work on. So this is going through and developing domain expertise, knowing what it's going to take to make this stuff happen, and we defined a better challenge. Based on that, we updated our challenge, and our updated challenge had lots of things that we've added in before. So before we had it pretty simple. Step number 4, we use iterative AI, and you're going to see here the types of prompts we ran. And effectively, pretty straightforward. Imagine you're a Triz expert, taking into account the ideas generated in earlier parts of this chat, generate 80 ideas based on Triz. Same as we did before. Prompt number 2, give me, try the field analysis, standard solutions analysis, combined methods, combined combinations, ideas. We did some chain of thought, the 10 strongest ideas, identify ways to combine different Triz principles to develop things step by step. We then went outside of the Triz world, and we looked at something called creative combination. We said, look, take related stimuli, unrelated stimuli, mix it, match it, put it all together. I can do that. We did chain of thought again. This time we didn't use Triz, but we used other methods to evaluate the challenge. We did some work evaluating the challenge. And what we ended up with 266 detailed ideas in about 25 minutes. We focused on the top 10. The whole thing came down to building domain expertise, understanding what needs to be done to solve the problem. When you ask AI for answers without knowing the questions you're asking, you get the wrong answers. Innovation expertise and AI expertise. The final merged solution of everything together was to create a steam-based solution. We wanted to make a fixed scaffolding with multi-level, pre-made, running on railway tracks, and other pre-built supports. This is what came out of the AI. Let me show you what they actually did, because this is actually kind of fun. And
An almost comic contraption turned out to be Frank Crow's best weapon against the tunnel deadline. The steel and wood beast, called a drilling jumbo, carried 3 tiers of drills on a 10-ton truck. The rig was backed up to the face of the wall, and the 30 drills bored holes into the rock to plant dynamite. The jumbo could then be pulled away for blasting, and the whole operation moved to the next drilling area.
That was a pretty clever idea, because before they'd have to put up staging. Then the staging would have to be taken down when they blew the face, and then they'd have to replace it. It was a big time saver.
But what did we end up with here? We looked at Triz, plus AI, plus expertise, and allow you to do things effective, easy, and fast. For you, those of you Triz experts, you can say it's better than all the other ideation methods and proven by a university professor. That's kind of what I'd like to end with is 2 slides talking to you about what I'm doing right now. What I see is a lot of companies are not getting the value they should from AI. And the reason is essentially they're using AI instead of working with it. There's an alternative, which is to become a generative organization where you combine humans and AI working as teammates, combining expertise, system responsibility. It's about systems thinking, but I don't talk about that because nobody's excited about systems thinking. We have what I would say is the generative way. One of the big myths, and I think we're going to be hit with it hard in the near future, is about the role of expertise. Some people think you need less expertise in the area of AI. I believe you actually need a lot more. Second, it's about smart usage of AI. It's more than just prompts. And third, it's about keeping humans in the loop. If you want, you can get some free stuff by clicking on, going to that QR code. You'll get all the Triz prompts. You can get a beta access to our toolkit, which will allow you to generate 1,000 ideas in 15 minutes. You'll get the slides from the top. And if you want, you can connect with me. I'm the only Bryan Cassady on LinkedIn. You can check out my new book, and I'd really like it if you did, because I'm trying to get it continue its role as being a bestseller. Right now, it's a bestseller in all of the Amazon markets. But if we stop promotion, then it stops selling. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my talk. Now let me see if I can get you guys on my screen here. Okay, I see the audience. I
Thank you
didn't
very much.
I didn't see anybody fall asleep. That's good. Does anybody have any questions? Ali, thanks for turning on your video. Did anybody take a screenshot showing Triz is great?
That's great.
How do you distinguish between good ideas and bad ideas? What is the criteria?
A good idea is meaningful, unique, and able to capture value. A bad idea is neither meaningful, unique, or able to capture value. There is a specific definition of what is a good idea and a bad idea. But the problems you have is most of the times companies don't even have a clear idea of what they want. So how do you identify whether an idea is good or bad if you don't have a target? So if you don't have a target, you can't tell if you're on target or not. So to answer your question, when you have your target, decide if it's meaningful, unique, and you can capture value. Sorry, I forgot on my soapbox there. I see another hand. Fantastic, in the back.
Maybe just like, what was the winning student idea? You had 5,000 ideas and you had like a winner. What was this idea that won?
What was the best idea? I don't remember, honestly. Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't even read all the ideas. It got to be too heavy. What we did use is we have two studies that went together. One is, can we use AI to evaluate the ideas? We found out that we can do that. So AI actually read and ranked the ideas. Boris, you got a question?
Yes, I have. Thank you for great presentation. And the question is, what kind of level, according to Triz, we have 5 levels of ideas, right? Let's put it this way. And did you take in consideration level of idea, not only quantity, but also quality? Let's say 5 level is discovery, right? 1 is just beginner level. It would be very interesting if you make this research compared to levels as well.
So I have a lot of research showing that in fact, first ideas are usually pretty crappy ideas. The challenge on making ideas is to improve ideas over time and grow and nurture ideas. And what I like in the Triz methodology is the ability to evaluate ideas, but also to continually improve those ideas. The mistake that all the consultants make is they come in, they drop you a bunch of ideas, you get a bunch of Post-it notes, and then they don't work. What you need to do is do what you're talking about, Boris, and keep on going further. Now, I'm not a Triz expert. I use Triz because I find it's a cool tool. I did a 2-day training. And now I train people on how to use Triz, but you should train me, Boris. I'm not the expert here.
Thank you very much. Because if AI make a high level of idea solution, it would be more challenging and more interesting and helpful probably. But amazing presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Adi Kavitsky, you had a question. Please turn on your microphone.
Yeah. What's the next stage?
Next stage is
Yeah.
Okay. So the next stage, for me, we're enamored with people who make ideas. I think building ideas is the absolute easiest thing to do. The real challenge is to define the challenge and then to be able to evaluate the ideas and then combine the ideas. So the next stage is creative combination. The next stage is systems analysis and systematically improving those ideas. So within my methodology, I talk about the ABCs: alignment, build ideas, communicate and check, and systematically improve. Problem is people forget about the systematically improve. And that, as I came back to Boris's question, next step is how do you make ideas great? It's by planting the seeds, watering the seeds, and growing them over time. I don't know if that answers your question, Adi.
It was a way of answering my question. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to know what is the next level. What is the next stage of, I'm asking about Triz. Triz AI, what's the next level?
I think the next level is really smart people like the guys that are here in this room, adding real expertise to the process and keeping it simple at the same time. The biggest issue that you have with Triz, you can't explain it to anybody. You say, oh, go do a week training. I don't know how many CEOs are willing to do a 1 week training on Triz. You need to be able to explain it in 5 minutes, and you need to be able to explain it quickly. And the advantage with AI right now is you can actually take these shortcuts. You explain the principle, and then you let AI do a bit of the heavy lifting. And I think that's your next stage.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for your presentation. I think we have very fruitful day. So today at 6 o'clock we will have a dinner and networking event. I encourage everybody to participate. Okay, so you who are not in Riga, so you cannot participate with us, but hopefully we will meet in some other events. And thank you for participation in this conference, and then see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock at Riga time.
Thank you very much, everybody.